Have you ever thought about what you won't do for love? Because I think it's a great song. Just saying. Bobby Caldwell, rest in peace. A great song. Anyways, hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to a wonderful top 10 list. We're going to be talking about my top 10 romance series. Yes, it is a very broad category. It's a very popular genre, and there are a lot of different types of romance series. You have rom-coms, you have romantic fantasies, you have historical romance, and various other things. You will see all kinds on here, and a lot of very different series. I know I maybe could have split this up into rom-coms and more romantic dramas, but I thought it'd be more fun to kind of make it all of a general category and see where I rank certain things, because I actually was thinking about certain series and I'm like, oh yeah, that is a romance series, isn't it? And it kind of adjusted my list, and it actually became really hard to kind of solidify my top 5. But I am happy with where my list is, and yeah, it's gonna have 11 entries because I have the 10 spot with a tie, and I will explain why when we get there. So let's get started with that top 10 now. Alright, so the shared number 10 spot is going to go to these two amazing ongoing series, and that is Skippin' Loafer and Insomniacs After School. Skippin' Loafer from Misaki Takamatsu and Insomniacs After School from Makoto Ojiro. And yes, they are here at number 10, and they would be higher, but these series are currently not finished. And I know, yes, if you want to go technicalities, Insomniacs After School is finished, but it's not finished in English print, and I only read print. I do not read digitally. So that is currently ongoing for me, and Skippin' Loafer is an ongoing series. But these two romance series are absolutely fantastic. Insomniacs After School is more of like a slice of life coming-of-age romantic drama, while Skippin' Loafer is more of a romantic comedy. But they are both fantastic series, and I feel like once they finish, they will probably move up this list. But as for now, they are well-deserving of even being on the list in the first place. So just to give you a quick synopsis for both series, Skippin' Loafer follows the story of Mitsumi, who is this girl from the countryside who is moving to Tokyo, or moving to, big town Japan, and is kind of being experiencing all these different things that she's never experienced before. It has a lot of great moments between characters, a lot of tender moments, and the relationship that's currently building between the two main leads is fascinating, especially with the part that we're at in the English print, which is volume 10. Yes, they've they've been through a lot. I think that's the best way to put it. But excited to see where that relationship develops. But yes, has some of the best, I think, depicted friendships between women and between girls that I've never seen personally before. Obviously, I'm just kind of expanding my horizons into various series, especially romance series. I didn't read a lot of romance series up until a couple years ago, but I think Skippin' Loafer does it really, really well. And then Insomniacs After School, it follows the story of our two kids here, which is Ganta and Isaka. And yes, they are basically both insomniacs, as the name suggests. And so they have found this place in like an observatory where they can fall asleep for the first time. And it's about them as they develop their relationship with one another, but also kind of develop their passions and various other things. So it's really, really well done. I think it tackles a lot of interesting concepts and stuff like that, and I just really love their relationship together as well. It's a very, very good series, and I'm not looking forward to when it ends. I know there's only a few more volumes left in English, and I only say that because I've just really loved this series. So I am really happy with what we've gotten, and I'm excited to see how the series is going to end, even if it will be a little bittersweet. Alright, going into number 9. This is a series I actually don't talk about too much because I actually read this a long time ago. I say a long time ago, but at least a long time in terms of, I have never talked about it really on my channel before, but that is Blue Flag from Kaito. This is a absolutely wonderful series, but basically it follows a story about 4 characters. There's only 3 here because the 4th character doesn't really show up until a little bit later in the series, but I'm going to be talking about specifically Taichi and Futaba. So these two are kind of have different feelings about about different people. Futaba is in love with this guy here, who is the big muscly man. That's our boy. His name is Toma. He is good friends with Taichi from back in childhood, and she's in love with him. But he seems to be in love with somebody else. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it develops relationships between the characters, and definitely falls or ends in a bombshell ending that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. And I know it's highly debated about if people actually like the ending of Blue Flag, but I happen to really like it. I think it ends spectacularly, in a very interesting way that I wasn't expecting, but I'm kind of happy with how it all played out. I like how the relationships developed throughout the series. I love the characters, and I love the art. The art's absolutely gorgeous, and the covers as well. Some of the best looking covers I think you can get out of a romance series. They are absolutely gorgeous, and this is only volume 1, but there are a lot of other volumes that look just as good. So if you're looking for a very interesting series that tackles LGBTQ plus topics, as well as just relationship topics as well, I think Blue Flag is a really, really good choice and is my number 9 spot. Alright, coming into number 8, we have ourselves the big Mamma Jamma Heart of Thomas from Moto Hagio. I recently read this, so maybe it's a little bit of recency bias, but this is an extremely good manga. But it follows a story about this boarding school in Germany where a boy named Thomas has recently unalived himself, and it's kind of sent shockwaves throughout the school. Various people are affected by his death, and it becomes all the more complicated when a person joins the boarding school and looks just like him. So it's actually kind of interesting. A lot of fascinating developments throughout the story. The relationships between the characters are sometimes weird and creepy, and other ones are tender and understanding and just very beautiful. But it's really well done. I mean, if you can get your hands on this, this is a fantastic series. Just keep in mind that it is a long read. You're going to be consuming a lot of manga in one fell swoop, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful art, yeah, I just really liked it. I thought it was really good, and I think it's interesting to see how a relationship develops after one of the people is no longer around. So yeah, it's a very interesting and very different romance series, but yes, a romantic drama nonetheless. Alright, coming into number, let's see, 10, 9, 8, number 7, that is going to be this fantastic series, which I would love to reread, and hopefully we'll do a video on at some point in my life. I don't know when, but it will be happening. And that is going to be Your Lie in April from Naoshi Arakawa. This series, I've watched the anime and I've read the manga, which is extremely rare for me, and I loved it both times. So Your Lie in April follows the story of Kosei Arima, who is a piano prodigy, has been doing it his entire life, but a lot of people think that he just plays because his mother always wanted him to play. He plays very robotic, he plays very to the music, if that makes sense, so he usually doesn't make mistakes, but doesn't feel like there's a lot of emotion there. And that is kind of stems from his background, but he ends up meeting this girl here, whose name is Kaori, and she's more of like a free spirit, very different from him, doesn't really play by the rules of typical music, but it kind of unlocks something within him that allows him to convey his emotions and his feeling through his music, and they develop a relationship with one another, and it's one of the most heartbreaking series I think I've ever read. The last like 2 volumes are just really difficult to read, and the last couple episodes also very difficult to watch, but I think it's just really beautiful. It's really well done. I think their relationship is very strong, and I like how they play off of one another to kind of work together, and how he kind of develops into a completely different person because of her. And I think that's what I really want from a relationship, especially from a romance series, is that I want the characters to learn and grow with one another. Not to say that these other series that are behind it didn't do that, but I think Your Lie in April does it extremely well. And I love that the focus on music, that's always a big bias for me. So yeah, Your Lie in April is fantastic. It is a romantic drama through and through, and it will make you extremely sad, and well deserving of the spot of number 7. Alright, coming in at number 6, this is an interesting one because it's funny because I actually don't think of this series as a romance series, but I mean it is. It's in the name, to be honest. Somewhat at least. And that is going to be A Bride Story from Kaoru Mori. This is an ongoing series that's absolutely fantastic. And yes, I know I said, oh, skip Loafer, blah, blah, or lower down because they're ongoing or whatever, but A Bride Story has kind of like solidified itself as almost like a short story collection in a way. I only say that because of the various relationships that are in this story. So basically it follows a story about a variety of different relationships of different brides and their lives as they live through this world that's constantly changing around them. It's extremely well done. One of the best historical fantasies I think I've ever, historical fantasy series I think I've ever read. It's absolutely remarkable, and that's the thing, and that's also why it's not higher, because if you don't know, Bride Story is one of my favorite manga of all time. The only reason is it's actually this low, or well, this low. Number 6 is still pretty high. But the only reason why it's this low is because I tend to think of this series more as a historical fantasy than a romance. But the romantic like notes and elements are really well done. The character developments between the different relationships are all completely different, but all are just as meaningful as one another. I think honestly one of the best ones is the professor and that woman that he meets later down in the story. It's such a good series. It's just so fantastic, and a lot of beautiful relationships, a lot of great moments between the couples, and yeah, it's just a really great series to read. So yeah, give it a shot. I mean, I'll always take the chance to talk about a bride story and tell everybody to just go check it out, because one, it's absolutely gorgeous, and two, the relationships are actually really well done. Okay, coming into number 5 is actually my first shoujo of all time, and so I have to talk about it because one, it was a great first shoujo, to be honest, so I'm really happy to have read it, but two, it's just a generally good series. I mean, just a note, just so you know, My Love Mix-Up from Ariko and Wataru Hinehikure. I love this series. I've talked about it on this channel before, but yes, it's one of my favorite shoujo of all time, and for good reason. I mean, this series is so much fun. It's so exciting, and I love it so much. But in case you have never read this before, it follows the story of Aoki, who is this guy here. So Aoki is mad in love with Hashimoto, who's this girl here, and yeah, so he's always been trying to kind of hit her up, but one day she drops her eraser, and he's like, okay, I gotta go pick it up, and maybe this will give me my chance to kind of break through and hopefully have a relationship. But as he's picking up the eraser, he notices that the name says Ida, which is another person here on in this story. Ida sees him pick up the eraser, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way about me. And so it starts off with this crazy set of miscommunication, but quickly evolves into one of the best romance series I think I've ever read. I love these relationships so very much. Just like the friendships as well as the eventual relationships between the various characters. It's really, really funny. It's really, really great to read. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I love the... I won't... Well, I guess I can't spoil it because it's not that big of a spoiler because it really happens pretty early. But the relationship between Aoki and Ida as we move throughout the series is really great, and how they kind of bounce off of one another. But as the relationship develops, they also grow with one another, which is really great to see. The communication becomes stronger, and you just love to see that kind of stuff, especially in a romance series. So yeah, it was a really, really great time. It's so much fun, and an enjoyable shorter length. It's only 9 volumes, but very, very good nonetheless. Okay, coming into number 4, and before we get into the top 3, this is another fantastic series by a mangaka that I've already talked about on this list, but well deserving of the number 4 spot, and that's going to be Emma from Kaoru Mori. I believe this is the better romance series between the two, and let me explain why. It's because I actually feel that the romance is the true main focus of the series. I know, like saying a bride story, though, oh, that's not the main focus isn't the brides. It is, but I think the historical fantasy element, the historical moments also shine just as much within that, and all the political turmoil as well, I think also play a huge part into that series. While Emma does have that, I feel like the relationship is the crux or the core of this series. I don't know, you can debate me on that. Maybe I'm in the wrong there, or the minority, but I think Emma's relationship is, and personally, I like it more. Anyways, let me explain what the series is all about. It follows a story about a rich family named the Jones family, and specifically a guy named William Jones, who ends up falling in love with Emma, who is a fantastic maid. She's really good at what she does, very soft-spoken, very quiet, and it's about kind of their forbidden love, because he's a rich man and she's a maid, and obviously those two things don't click in England at the time. So yeah, it's about them developing the relationship with one another, and watching as the relationship grows, and kind of finding the difficulties with the time, and trying to break those boundaries, or break those I guess invisible walls that the society has created for them. And yeah, it's just a really, really well done tale. I loved it. It's 5 volumes, with 4 of them being the main story and the 5th one kind of being just little extra stories. But overall, fantastic. I had a great time with it. And I think it really just, it encapsulates what I really enjoy about romance series. I think like having like the tender, beautiful moments while also having like them trying to discover more about themselves as well as each other is just really well done. And I obviously love the historical elements. Keira Mori is great at doing that. And yeah, I think Emma is absolutely fantastic and well deserving of the number 4 spot. Okay, welcome to the top 3. So the top 3 has 3 fantastic manga. Maybe there's some recency bias. I don't know. We'll see. But number 3 is going to go to High School Debut from Kazune Kawahara. Yes, I just recently read this entire series. And yes, it is absolutely fantastic. I love this series so much. But basically it follows the story of Haruna here, who is this girl, sporty girl, but she's like trying super hard in high school to make her high school debut, find a boyfriend, become like super popular, blah 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 blah. But as she's coming to realize, she's kind of crashing out because she's kind of out of her element and doesn't really understand. She doesn't think she understands like everything that like how to attract a man. So she thinks that becoming and finding a coach is the best way to do it. So she finds this upperclassman, his name is Yo, and convinces him basically to become her coach in order to become a better girl, I guess, or a more like lovable girl, question mark, question mark, question mark. But yes, as you could expect, yes, their relationship starts to build and maybe they sort of get together. So this one's really interesting. I think the characters are great. I think they're like the perfect amount of clashing and opposites, but I love how their relationship grows once they actually start I don't know, dating. And I love like just like how everything kind of comes together in such a seamless way. Kawahara is really good at doing this, and you'll see why later down the line in my list. But yeah, I love the characters so much. I love their relationship. They are great together. And I think it's really fun to see them grow and learn from each other and kind of like pick up for each other's flaws, help each other figure out how to fix those flaws, become better at those flaws. And, you know, tackling all of what you would expect from a relationship, the jealousy parts, like the miscommunication. And I think it just does it so well. And it's really easy to root for these two characters because they're so lovable and they're so great. So overall, I really liked High School Debut. I thought it was great, and yeah, very excited to have read it, and well deserving of the number 3 spot. Going into number 2, oh man, this series is so good, and it's a hard one. It's a hard series. It's Run Away With Me Girl from Baton. This is a 3-volume series following the story of these 2 women here, Maki and Midori, who were dating back in high school, but after once they graduate, Midori is like, maybe we shouldn't joke around about this anymore, because she's kind of like fallen for what society has told her, that women cannot be together. So she's like, let's be serious, blah blah blah. Like this was all kind of like a fad. 10 years pass, and Maki has still not gotten over Midori, and in a chance meeting, they have now met up once again. But the only problem is that Midori is now married to a man, and they are going to have a child together. So it's about somewhat like forbidden love, but also like the rekindling of that friendship and that relationship, and how much they meant to one another, and the difficulties of like Japan's view on gay relationships and everything that under the sun. Oh man, it's so well done. It's so beautiful. It's so bittersweet. I love their relationship with one another and how their relationship clashes with her marriage, which is just super effed. I mean, I hate her husband so very much. He is like genuinely one of the worst people I think I've ever read in my entire life. And I think that helps to root for their relationship, even if it is considered forbidden in a way, mostly because she's married, so like, you know, there's the whole cheating aspect of that. But it's just so well done. Baton's art is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful, and I just, man, there's like so many parts of the story that'll get you emotional, and it ends in a very beautiful way. It's a really, really fantastic read, and it's only 3 volumes, so if you haven't read this, just be prepared. There's a lot of things to keep in mind when reading this, so please look up the trigger warnings before you check out the series, because they are very intense in certain moments. But I love it so much. It's probably my favorite romantic drama by far, and I love it so. I just love it. It's number 2 for a good reason. Okay, number one, oh, so obvious. It deserves every single love and affection that I will send toward it. And that is My Love Story from Kazune Kawahara and Aruko. Wow, would you look at that? Two creators that I've already talked about on this list are back, baby. And My Love Story is my quintessential romance series. I love the main couple so very much. Takeo and Yamato follows the story of Takeo, who is this absolutely gigantic man, who is very kind, very understanding, but also dense as a rock. And one day, while on the train, he sees a creepy man trying to feel up a girl, and he stops her. He stops that guy from doing it, and Yamato is now smitten with Takeo. So they become yeah, I guess they become a couple, and it's about them kind of like navigating their journey together, navigating their relationship, navigating their own flaws, their own difficulties. And can we just talk about how Takeo has like the best friend ever? He is so amazing, so wonderful, so caring, and such an interesting character within this. Like, I think it's important to realize is that like relationships between romantic relationships are important, but platonic relationships are just as important. And I really appreciate their friendship a lot, because I think it helps Takeo to develop and understand how to be in a romantic relationship, even though they are platonic. I think it's they're like the perfect like set for one another, and I think their couple is they're just so adorable. They're always rooting for each other. They're always pushing each other to become better and to kind of learn more about each other. I love how Takeo like really pushes himself, especially towards the end of the series, and I love how Yamato as well. She becomes more forward, more confident, more like stronger because of Takeo, and Takeo becomes more understanding, more listening, not always like barging in and kind of being in your face. He's also willing to actually express what he's feeling, because he has difficulties with that throughout the series. But I love this series so very much. Beautiful art from Aruko. It's just great. The comedy is on point at so many different points. Oh man, the zoo, the one of the first parts when they first start dating, when he like gets stuck in like a ditch. It's, oh man, there's so many hilarious moments throughout this series. I think Kawahara and Aruko work like, fantastic together. Genuinely, this is like one of the best romance series I think I've ever read, and I don't know if it'll ever be topped. Maybe it will, who knows. But My Love Story is fantastic, deserves all the love it gets, has a great anime as well. So please, if you're gonna read anything off this list, please read My Love Story, and then get back to me and tell me how much you love it. Whew, that is going to be it. That was my number one romance series, and that was my top 10 romance series. I hope you enjoyed. What are your top 10 romance series? Let me know in the comments below. There were a couple series that I did not put on here. Kini Todoke is one of those, and I only did not put it on there because I've only read half the series, but I feel like once I finish it, it will probably be on this list in some capacity. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Let me know what you can. Let me know what you think. Give me those likes, those comments, subscribes. Those are all appreciated things. I love those things. I appreciate it so much. You all are awesome. You make it so much fun to make content on YouTube. And that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you have a fantastic, lovely February, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Oh, that's a terrible heart. Yay. Bye-bye.